What if some of the boldest chills in movie history were hiding online, completely free and completely legal? Pre-code horror was raw, daring, and wonderfully strange, created long before strict rules tamed the screen. These films shaped every spooky moment that came after, using shadows, expression, and imagination instead of loud tricks. And one of them still holds a quiet surprise most viewers never see coming. Let us begin. Number 14. Nosferatu, 1922. Nosferatu is not just a silent film, it is a shadow carved into cinema history. Even today, its eerie imagery feels alive. Count Orlok moves like a whisper in a dream, gliding through hallways and appearing in places he should not be. The film uses real European locations, which gives everything a cold, grounded atmosphere. Viewers in the 1920s had never seen anything like it. They described the movie as haunting rather than loud, and that is still true. The tension grows slowly, creeping across the screen instead of jumping forward. Expressions, lighting, and posture replace dialogue. Even small movements feel dramatic. The grainy texture adds to the unease and makes Orlok's appearance unforgettable. This film is now free and legal to watch online, preserved in several restored versions. Seeing it today feels like discovering the original blueprint for all Gothic horror. Every shadow, every doorway, and every slow step influence the genre. Nosferatu shows that fear does not need volume. It only needs presence. Number 13. The Cabinet of Dr. Caligari, 1920. The Cabinet of Dr. Caligari looks like a nightmare painted by hand. Its crooked buildings, twisting streets, and long shadows turn the entire world into a hallucination. When audiences first saw it, they were stunned. This movie created the expressionist style that shaped early horror. Instead of using real sets, everything is painted to look distorted and uneasy. The story follows a mysterious hypnotist who controls a sleepwalker. But the film is really about how fear affects perception. Nothing feels stable. Doors tilt, windows slant, and characters move like they are part of a living dream. Silent films needed strong visuals, and Caligari uses that limitation as a strength. Every scene feels intentional, as if the world is bending around the characters. This is one of the first films to use atmosphere as the main source of tension. Today, it is free to watch online in several versions. Even after a century, the movie still looks innovative. It is creative, bold, and visually unforgettable. It reminds modern viewers that horror does not always come from creatures or loud moments. Sometimes, it grows from a world that refuses to sit still. Number 12. Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, 1920. This silent adaptation delivers one of the most intense transformations in early cinema. John Barrymore's performance is the reason this version still stands out. He shifts from the gentle Dr. Jekyll to the wild Mr. Hyde, using only posture, expression, and minimal effects. Watching him change feels unsettling because it happens slowly and naturally. Pre-code films explored inner struggles without needing exaggerated tricks, and this movie is a perfect example. The lighting highlights each stage of Hyde's distortion, making the transformation feel emotional rather than flashy. Instead of focusing on shock, the film digs into the idea that darkness can grow quietly inside someone. The sets, though simple, add to the tension. Rooms are narrow, streets are dim, and shadows stretch across the floor as if reaching toward the characters. What makes this film unforgettable is its patience. It lets every moment breathe. Every step, glance, and shift in posture builds a sense of dread. Now, in the public domain, this version is free to watch online. Seeing it today is like watching the earliest blueprint for psychological horror. It shows that fear can come from within, long before modern storytelling explored the same idea. Number 11. The Haunted Castle, 1921. The Haunted Castle is a perfect example of how early filmmakers used silence to build tension. The story begins with guests gathering at a remote castle, only to discover that suspicion is waiting for them behind every door. Nothing is loud, nothing is rushed, but everything feels like it might turn strange at any moment. Director F.W. Murnau uses lighting in a clever way. Shadows drift across the screen, changing shape as characters move. Even simple hallways look mysterious. The rooms feel heavy with secrets, and the long pauses between actions give every moment a slow, eerie pull. The film mixes mystery with gentle chills, never crossing into harsh territory but keeping viewers alert. You can already see the seeds of Nosferatu in the way Murnau frames the actors and uses darkness like a character. Silent films had to rely on expression and stillness, and this movie handles that beautifully. The atmosphere is the real star. It feels like someone is always watching, even when the room looks empty. The haunted castle is in the public domain, and free versions are easy to find online. Watching it now is like stepping into the earliest sketch of what Gothic horror would soon become. Number 10. Phantom of the Opera, 1925. Phantom of the Opera remains one of the most striking silent films ever created. Lon Chaney's unforgettable makeup still surprises new viewers, even after nearly a century. Set inside the Grand Paris Opera House, the film blends elegance with eerie quiet. Every corner of the building feels alive with echoes and secrets. Chaney designed his own transformation, creating a character who looks fragile and frightening at the same time. When audiences first saw the reveal, some reportedly gasped and covered their eyes. Even today, the moment holds its power because the movie builds the tension slowly. Instead of sudden shocks, it uses atmosphere. Candlelit tunnels, sweeping staircases, and grand performances in the background give the story a dramatic backdrop. The Phantom moves through this world like a hidden storm. His presence is felt long before he appears. The film mixes romance, mystery, and early Gothic spirit in a way that still feels fresh. Best of all, Phantom of the Opera is part of the public domain, so viewers can watch it online, free and legally. It is a perfect example of how silent cinema relied on expression, posture, and strong visuals to bring fear to life. Number 9. The Cat and the Canary, 1927. The Cat and the Canary is one of the earliest films to blend spooky tension with playful charm. The story begins with family members gathering in a creaky old mansion to hear a will that has been sealed for 20 years. From the moment they arrive, things start to feel off. Doors open by themselves. Shadows move in hallways, and a mysterious figure seems to be watching from the corners. Instead of overwhelming fright, the film gives viewers a mix of suspense and humor, creating a mood that feels light and eerie at the same time. Director Paul Lenny uses angled shots, drifting shadows, and exaggerated expressions to bring the silent era style to life. The sets look theatrical, almost like a stage built inside a dream. This approach inspired a whole wave of old dark house stories in later decades. What keeps the film fun is its pacing. It knows when to tease the audience and when to lean into the mystery. The characters react in expressive, amusing ways, reminding viewers that early horror did not always take itself too seriously. In the public domain today, this film is easy to watch online. It is still entertaining, still stylish, and still a great example of early horror craft. Number 8. The Old Dark House, 1932. The Old Dark House is a quirky, unpredictable blend of shadowy atmosphere and oddly charming humor. The movie begins with a group of travelers stranded during a storm. When they seek shelter in a lonely mansion, they quickly meet the strange family living inside. Each member is more unusual than the last. Some whisper, some watch, and some move through the house so quietly. It feels unreal. Director James Whale mixes tension with playful personality, giving the story a curious mood. Boris Karloff delivers one of his early standout performances, appearing silent and mysterious in the background of nearly every scene. The house itself feels like a living creature. The long hallways, the heavy staircases, the flickering lamps, and the echoing rooms create a sense of unease without needing loud moments. What makes this film memorable is its balance. It never goes too dark, but it never lets the viewer relax completely. It hints at danger while showing just enough humor to keep things unpredictable. The Old Dark House is in the public domain and can be watched free online in several restored editions. It remains one of the most unusual early horror films, and its weird charm gives it a timeless personality. Number 7. The Vampire Bat, 1933. The Vampire Bat takes place in a village gripped by fear. Strange happenings spark rumors that a creature might be stalking the night. Townsfolk whisper, lanterns flicker, and tension spreads with every new discovery. What makes this film interesting is how it plays with the idea of superstition. Instead of jumping straight into the supernatural, it builds a slow mystery centered on suspicion and imagination. Lionel Atwill brings sharp intensity to his role, while Fay Wray adds warmth and emotion that heighten the suspense. The sets have an eerie charm. Fog drifts through narrow streets, and the stone walls of the town seem to press inward when characters feel cornered. The film uses clever lighting and small movements to keep viewers guessing. Early horror often relied on suggestion rather than spectacle, and The Vampire Bat uses that approach well. Every clue leads to another question, and the film takes its time revealing the truth. The pacing allows the story to breathe while still creating steady tension. It is fully in the public domain and easy to stream online. Even today, it remains a smooth, moody blend of mystery and early horror creativity. Number 6. The Hunchback of Notre Dame, 1923. Before monster movies had sound, they had Lon Chaney. His performance in The Hunchback of Notre Dame is a lesson in physical acting that still leaves viewers impressed. Set in medieval Paris, the story follows Quasimodo, a lonely bell ringer who watches life from the shadows of the great cathedral. Chaney designed his own makeup, creating a transformation so intense that some early audiences believed it must have been painful to perform. This movie is not strictly horror, but it carries enough dark atmosphere and gothic tension to fit comfortably into the pre-code tradition. The massive sets built for the production still stand as one of the most ambitious achievements of early cinema. Notre Dame's towering arches, narrow stairways, and crowded streets create a world that feels both grand and claustrophobic. Every scene looks heavy with history. What pulls viewers in is how the film balances emotion with eerie mood. Quasimodo's struggle is tragic, but the shadows, the chimes, and the looming architecture wrap the story in an unmistakably eerie tone. It influenced nearly every Gothic horror film that followed. Being in the public domain, this film is easy to find online in several restored versions. Even without sound, the emotional weight hits hard. Chaney's performance proves that fear is not always about danger. Sometimes it is about isolation, longing, and the sense of being trapped in a world that does not understand you. This silent classic remains unforgettable. Number 5. The Invisible Man, 1933. When early horror wanted to explore science with a touch of madness, The Invisible Man stepped forward with style. Directed by James Whale, the same mind behind Frankenstein, this film blends eerie tension with playful wit. Claude Rains gives a legendary performance even though you barely see his face. His voice carries everything. Calm one moment, unhinged the next, it fills the story with a steady rise of tension. The plot follows a scientist who discovers how to turn invisible, but the breakthrough begins to take a toll on his mind. Pre-code films had a unique way of exploring the consequences of ambition, and this movie leans into that theme with confidence. The imagery is striking. Footprints appear in the snow. Furniture moves on its own. Bandages unravel to reveal nothing underneath. These early special effects still look impressive considering they were created long before digital tricks. The film is snappy, atmospheric, and surprisingly funny in places. Whale understood that horror could breathe better when it had moments of lightness. That balance made The Invisible Man stand out from other films of the era. Today, the movie is available online through several legal archives, making it easy for new viewers to experience one of the sharpest early blendings of science and fear. It remains a reminder that imagination is often scarier than anything you can see. When the screen shows nothing, your mind fills in the rest. A true pre-code classic with personality. Number 4. The Ghoul, 1933. The Ghoul brings Boris Karloff back into the shadows in one of his most atmospheric early roles. The story follows an Egyptologist who becomes obsessed with an ancient jewel believed to grant eternal life. After his passing, the gem disappears, and rumors spread that he has risen to reclaim it. What unfolds is a beautifully gloomy blend of mystery, superstition, and creeping tension that moves through old mansions, stone corridors, and dim hallways. Karloff's presence carries the entire film. His slow movements, stiff posture, and hollow stare give the story an eerie calm. He appears not as a loud creature, but as a figure pulled forward by an ancient promise. The supporting cast adds layers of suspicion as everyone hunts for the missing jewel, never sure who to trust. The Ghoul shines because of its mood. It leans into fog, flickering lamps, and close shadows that wrap around the characters. Early sound design gives footsteps and whispers an extra punch, and the pacing slowly tightens like a winding rope. For years, the film was considered lost until a restored version surfaced, and now it sits comfortably in the public domain. Viewers can watch it free online, making it a perfect addition to any pre-code horror lineup. Number 3. White Zombie, 1930. 2. White Zombie is often called the first true zombie film, and the atmosphere alone makes it unforgettable. Starring Bela Lugosi at his most intense, the movie takes place in Haiti, where a young couple arrives seeking a fresh start. But they soon fall into the path of a mysterious man who uses mind control to turn people into silent, obedient servants. Lugosi's stare, slow hand movements, and chilling calm create one of early horror's most iconic performances. The film relies on mood rather than fast action. Wind sweeps through tall cane fields, drums echo in the distance, and shadows fall across stony paths. Everything feels humid and dreamlike, as if the world itself is holding its breath. Even now, the sets look impressive. Stone towers, narrow staircases, and large echoing rooms make every scene feel otherworldly. White Zombie also carries historic importance. It introduced ideas that later zombie stories would expand for decades. Instead of modern creatures, this film focuses on control, influence, and fear of losing oneself. The movie is in the public domain, which makes it completely free and legal to watch online. It remains one of the most atmospheric early horror films ever made. Number 2. The Most Dangerous Game, 1932. The Most Dangerous Game is a tense, fast-moving thriller that still holds up beautifully. The story follows a shipwrecked survivor who washes up on a remote island. He is welcomed by a polite yet unsettling host who seems fascinated by hunting. But soon, the truth comes out. The host has grown tired of hunting animals and has turned his attention to people instead. The film moves quickly, giving viewers almost no time to relax. Dense forests, foggy cliffs, and torchlit hallways create a sense of constant danger. The chase scenes are surprisingly sharp for the early 1930s. You can feel the weight of every footstep and every close escape. What makes this film even more interesting is its connection to King Kong. Many of the same actors and crew worked on both movies, and you can see their skill in the way the jungle sets feel alive and immersive. Pre-code films often explored bold themes, and this movie leans into that fear of being hunted. The tension builds from the moment the main character realizes the truth. The Most Dangerous Game is in the public domain today, fully free and legal online. It remains one of the earliest survival thrillers and still packs a punch. Number 1. The Monster, 1925. The Monster is one of the earliest horror comedy thrillers, and it shows how bold filmmakers were long before strict rules shaped Hollywood. Starring Lon Chaney in a wonderfully eerie performance, the film follows a detective investigating mysterious disappearances near an abandoned sanitarium. What begins as a simple case quickly turns strange. Shadows move in empty rooms, doors close without warning, and a hidden group inside the building seems to be conducting secret experiments. Chaney steals the show with his expressive face and quiet, unsettling presence. He appears in doorways like a figure waiting for the perfect moment to step forward. The film uses wide, empty hallways and long pauses to build tension instead of loud tricks. Even the humor feels intentional, loosening the mood just enough before the story tightens again. The Monster helped shape early horror structure. It mixes suspense, mystery, and personality in a way that still feels easy to watch today. The abandoned sanitarium setting adds a timeless chill. You can almost feel the dust, hear the echo of footsteps, and sense that someone is watching from the shadows. This film is fully in the public domain and completely free to watch online. It is a perfect example of how early horror used imagination, not volume, to keep viewers hooked. Early horror had no rules. That is what made it fun. These films were strange, bold, and unafraid to experiment, and the best part is that you can watch them all for free. If any of these classics sparked your curiosity, dive into them and see how the genre first learned to creep. Make sure to like, share, and subscribe for more deep dives into forgotten cinema. And tell me in the comments which early film surprised you the most.